All right, guys. I know a lot of people have heard about the Kanye West situation, but they haven't necessarily heard it straight from a Jewish person, right? I grew up Jewish. I went to temple. Let me turn the light on over here. Um, had a bar mitzvah, everything. Learned Hebrew, the whole 9 yards. Um, have an extensive family that's Jewish. Even part of my family, close family, first cousins, in fact, an aunt, an uncle. They all live in Israel. I've even traveled to Israel. So this is your chance to hear um, basically what a Jewish person, a legitimately roots Jewish person knows, or I'm sorry, has the opinion of regarding the Kanye situation. Um, So when he first put the tweet out, I saw it and I thought, well, because I follow him on Twitter. I've always been a fan of his music. I've always been a fan of his Yeezy brand and all that. And he's a little bit eccentric, as you know. But when I first saw his tweet, I thought, okay, he's back. He's back on Twitter. Hadn't shown up on Twitter for a year or so. He's a bit ill. Um, and he's just going off the rails again, saying nutso stuff. I didn't quite understand the tweet. Um, but I thought he was frustrated with the Jewish people. I didn't think he was necessarily going to do anything to us or cause us any problems per se in real life outside of the internet. However, I personally knew that he was a bit loony, and just to take it with a grain of salt, not to really take him seriously. Figured he was having another kind of breakdown and that we just kind of need to brush this aside, right? But as time went on, as people more discussed it, as I saw folks in real life put with big signs saying they support Ye and his horrible message, right? That then made me realize that he is a very wide audience, a very wide audience that can take what he says, even if he's not really serious about it, take it seriously, and then maybe even act on it, which is kind of it's actually a very scary thing if you think about it. Now, did he think that he had that kind of reach? Did he think he had that kind of influence? I don't know. I'd like to think that he didn't know the repercussions and what would happen if he tweeted out like that. But then again, he was on Tucker Carlson just the day after, and Tucker asked him for an apology, and he says, "No, I'm not sorry." Which reminds us that he really did know what he was saying, and that he really did need to be deplatformed in a sense, because he felt like he was a god, or he felt like he could get away with everything. And in fact, there's now proof that he couldn't, right? Because we first started seeing Balenciaga dropping him, which is a massive, very high-end, top-notch, expensive clothing brand, right? You're talking thousands of dollars for shoes, thousands of dollars for any clothing. I couldn't get my hands on something like that if I wanted to. This guy's repping their brand, sponsored by them, getting free merchandise, right? They drop him in a snap. They don't want to be caught in the crossfires. And I think, okay, no big deal. Ye has got his Adidas, or I'm sorry, his Yeezy brand, his multi-billion-dollar Yeezy brand, which coincides with Adidas, right? Because Adidas produces the shoes, puts Yeezy's name on it, so he's fully relying on Adidas. He needs a shoe company with their expertise to build his shoes, use his kind of nutso ideas to put into their shoe production, right? They don't do the right thing when they have kids making the shoes in other countries, but that's a whole nother story, and I'm against that, but that's a whole nother story. The fact is, there's now about 10 different companies that have dropped Ye. They want nothing to do with him, and a lot of these companies are owned by Jewish people, right? He literally, he panicked. He said, I don't know what to do now. Adidas not going to cover me. Adidas not going to produce my shoes. So he went to the Skechers company. He went there unannounced. He tried to get them to rep him, tried to get them to produce his shoes so that he could now have, again, a reputable company producing his shoes, backing his name. They kicked him out on the spot, TMZ covered it. You know why? Because Skechers is owned by Jewish people, and they want nothing to do with it. And now that I know all that I know, if I owned a shoe company, I'd feel the same, right? Not just because people would want nothing to do with my brand if I had to do with Ye, but because I now feel like Kanye is a risk to possibly another tweet, right? Which could be that much more detrimental to any brand he has anything to do with, and or actually cause problems for Jewish people or even another group of or small group of people that could cause problems towards them. So Ye, he needs to think about it. He once said that he didn't think that Adidas would ever cut ties with him because Adidas grossed $1.7 billion last year on the Yeezy brand. That's at least a quarter billion profit that they gave up for 2023. That was a huge decision on their part. It took several days for them to decide to cut ties because so much pressure was put on them. Now, I do feel in many situations if people learned their lesson, if people didn't mean harm, taking a break from them, maybe a suspension period, I think is more appropriate. However, in this situation, Ye has made it very clear that he's not sorry, that he meant to say what he said for what he feels are very good reasons, and that he doesn't take it back. Now, just by saying that proves to all brands that have anything to do with him or want to have anything to do with him that he doesn't have any remorse and he will do it again and say things to possibly ruin other brand deals. Now, in his shoes right now, I'm not sure what he's going to do. I think he might try to produce his own Yeezys. I think he might try to make his own brand and see where it goes. Now, I think he still will have a cult following, people that love his music, people that don't mind his tweet, and people that love his clothing brand and the person he is in general. However, his plan to run for president in 2024, I believe, is totally scratched at this point. Nobody is going to vote for him with any right mind because think about it. If he's going to tweet out something nutso that he doesn't even think about before he tweets it, imagine what he'd do as president. He'd make rash decisions without even thinking on it, without even sleeping on it, which only creates more problems, not only for him, but now the whole country. Now, it goes even deeper than this, because he is good friends with the Trump guy, right? Can't even say it out here anymore. He's also friends with Elon Musk. Now, these are some of the most influential people in the world. Elon Musk tweeted out saying that he was very disappointed in Ye's tweet, how he'd spoken to Ye shortly afterward, and he felt like the heart-to-heart that they had as friends got to him. Now, I wouldn't disagree with that. I do believe that a close friend of Kanye's could possibly talk sense into him, just to at least make him realize that he made a really bad decision, a really bad big decision to tweet this out and ruin even more chances, right? More opportunities of his. However, I think with anyone else talking with him, he clearly couldn't care less. He feels like he is Jesus. He named one of his albums Yeezus to make it sound as if he is the new Jesus, right? I thought it was goofy and funny, but thinking more about it, this guy really thinks he's a god. He really feels like nothing can get in his way, no matter what. I mean, there's even a stadium on November 4th. He was going, my birthday, in fact. Guess how old I'm going to turn, and down below. I'll heart my favorite. I'll heart the one that's right. But regardless, an arena literally dropped him, right? Which they came at him in a kind of pathetic way and said, "Sorry, we don't have the staff to accommodate your concert," right? Of course they do. This is an arena. They could have double staff if they wanted to. They've got the money for it. But it doesn't come down to that. What it comes down to is they don't want him associated with their brand name, with their arena. You've seen this happen with a lot of folks that have had things come out about them, and they end up getting dropped by other brand names or places that they were going to perform. However, this doesn't mean that he doesn't have any future whatsoever. I think eventually, maybe a month from now, he'll come to his senses. He'll come out with some sorry apology that's probably no good, But it might fly. It might go well with some of his fans. He'll gain some of his fans back, and eventually he will perform again. It will be at smaller venues, at least at first, but we will see Ye in the future. Anyways, this is my perspective. Thank you for watching.